When I was about 8 years old, between the 3rd and 4th grade, my best friend and I, Brenda Henderson, had just spent probably 8 hours at the swimming pool. That's just what we did up in Kearney. There wasn't a lot else to do, legal. And so we got done with swimming. We went back to my house because we had a housekeeper that doubled as my babysitter. So we were supervised. And we just had this brilliant idea. So we got our beach towels, wrapped it around our shoulders, tied it, climbed up this ladder to the top of my parents' house. Let me just say, we used to love watching Superman. So me being the brave one, I just went running down that roof. I just launched myself over the edge. Yeah. In Brenda's behalf, in her defense, she waited until she found out whether I had broken anything before she went back down the ladder. So she was not there for me. But pain is a powerful teacher. That is my point here. Pain is a powerful teacher. I can honestly say I have never jumped off another roof. Never jumped off another roof. And it's probably the reason that I haven't gone skydiving yet. I'm waiting until my 100th birthday, then I figure what difference does it make, right? So as time goes on, we accumulate more life experience, and with that life experience, we accumulate more physical wounds, certainly, but more importantly, and probably harder to heal, are the emotional wounds that we accumulate. And lots of times we just don't know how to heal those. We're not taught that. That's just not one of the things in our school curriculum, and mom and dad, at least in my generation, that was not their way. It's like, get over it. And that's what we all did. We thought we did. So even though the pain, the physical pain eases of physical wounds, sometimes those emotional wounds just never get healed, do they? And why is that? Why is that? Why can't we just go pick yourself up by the bootstraps and move on? Well, it'd be really nice, wouldn't it? But the reason we don't heal them is because we don't let them get healed. And that's not to say that we keep them alive on purpose. It's just year after year, we learn to take those wounds, that one wound, and generalize it into an entire life experience. And that bubbles over into other areas of our life that creates a predictable response. And so I want to give you an example of what I mean by this. Let's say when you're 6 years old, mom and dad get divorced, mom moves away. You probably would feel abandoned. And that would be a normal response for anybody. Of course, as a child, we have no tools to deal with that. We have no tools to heal that. We don't understand. What if I was just better? What if I had just kept my room cleaner? Where is she going to go? What's going to happen to us? There's all these things that we learn, and the bottom line is they all spell abandonment. So eventually, our unconscious creates a belief that runs a program that gets generalized into people abandon me. Anybody done this? I mean, it's a common thing. It's a common theme that I find in my practice. But let me just say, one of the prime directives of our unconscious, our subconscious mind, is to keep us safe. Safe from physical harm, safe from emotional harm. So, for example, and first of all, let me just say, this is a much... if it's for me, just tell them I'll call them after the gathering, okay? So it's a good thing that our subconscious mind kicks in like this because it's much quicker. So for example, if a tiger's chasing after you, if you see a tiger coming towards you, you might go, holy crap, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? It's all going through your conscious mind. Can I outrun it? How am I going to hide? But your subconscious mind, in that split second, already knows what to do. You are long gone before your conscious mind can even process what the heck's going on. So as unlikely as this scenario plays out, just apply that concept to real life. As we get older, maybe a good friend moves away. Maybe a lover dies. Maybe a business partner retires and goes away, and you feel once again, what? Abandoned, yeah. And it doesn't matter what that scenario is. That unconscious program kicks in and says, they abandoned me. The reality is, your friend left to take a job she couldn't refuse overseas. Your lover had been ill for a long time. It was time for her to move on. She had to release that pain, and the only way to do that was through her transition. Your business partner leaves to retire and open up a sanctuary for abused circus animals. I mean, this has nothing to do with you whatsoever, does it? But yet you feel exactly. And even in the case of pets, we can still feel abandoned by our pets. You know, maybe your 17-year-old four-legger leaves you. But it doesn't have anything to do with you. Maybe your dog leaves you, and she knows that she has had 17 amazing, adventurous lives with you. Just 17. And then all of a sudden, she's gone. But you know what the reality is? She knew there was another that needed a safe and warm home to come to. So that had nothing to do with you, other than you provide the safe, warm home. And nobody had any intention to abandon you, yet by assigning this wound called abandonment to many events in your life, you dig a deeper and deeper wound. And pretty soon, when the local Girl Scouts pass by your door, don't even stop, you yell, "You jerks!" because they've abandoned you, right? So then you call the district office. They just didn't even stop at my house. I wasn't going to buy any, but they didn't even stop at my house. I am totally insulted here. But these are programs that run in our backgrounds. They're knee-jerk responses, and they're mostly negative. So your subconscious mind, in an effort to protect you from further emotional wounds like the, unfortunate Girl Scout incident, it tries to keep you from, well, I can't even say that. It doesn't try to keep you from reacting because your subconscious does not have analytical skills. Your subconscious is like a program, a computer program. It just runs. Whatever you feed it, that's what it, garbage in, garbage out. That's the foundation of a computer. But I don't want to talk about how to heal. That's not what this talk's about today, because there are as many modalities to healing as there are people sitting here. And we've got enough energy workers and therapy healers like me that are ready to help you at the drop of a hat. I want to offer some insight as to why we should want to heal. Sometimes you just need that little extra motivation, don't you? That's what I needed. And I got my motivation, and that brought me to this message. The deep wounds are nearly always caused by a sudden event. The death of a loved one, a sudden split, words that cut deeper than any knife could. And these wounds are stored deep in our subconscious until we're ready to heal them. They can heal in a split second, or they can take decades. There's no timetable. They can heal a layer at a time, or they can heal all at once. It depends on your work and what you're willing to do, because I'm telling you, healing wounds is not for the faint of heart. You got to be committed. But all that really matters is that you're doing your healing work, your healing journey. And the gifts of these wounds is where we find our greatest inner transformation. And that is worth any pain that you might find in the healing of these wounds. Now, I don't know about you, but there's nothing more transformational than a good old life-changing trauma, right? Losing too many loved ones through adoption and death and personal injuries should have triggered some transformations. But that wasn't my way. Each time I swept it under the rug, I stuffed it, because they were just too unbearable to really process. So I don't recommend that as a strategy for healing. However, over the past few weeks, I've been doing a lot of work on some of my major traumas from 50, 43, 30, and 9 years ago. I've told you the story about reuniting with my daughter, right? Everybody heard that? I've said that ad nauseum, but it has provided for me a lot of healing. So even though we had a good relationship for 28 years, as I started working on these old traumas, I found regret was still stuck in there. And I thought, regret? I thought I healed that a long time ago. Yeah, not. But then I would start up with those regrets brought up if-onlys. This is what got stuck underneath the regret, that brought the regret of if only. If only I hadn't given her up for adoption. If only I had been on my own and could, I was barely 16. I didn't have the wherewithal to keep her, even though my parents said, no, we want to keep her. I didn't have that in me. So all these what-ifs started coming up, and if-onlys. And this caused me to, what I didn't realize is this caused me to not fully connect with her. On a true soul level. And some of that could be because when I gave birth to her in the girls' home, there was no process for bonding. They take the baby right away from you, and you don't see it again. So there's no mother-daughter and mother-child bonding that goes on. So I thought all that time, maybe that's what it was, because I didn't have that, that deep longing, I miss my daughter connection. So regress was the wound that caused my belief that I don't deserve close relationships. That's what I got from that. I don't know why, but that's what came up. And guess how that played out? Y'all know my story, so I'm going to go real quick through this. I enlisted in the Air Force, where I moved 10 moves in 8 years. How many close relationships do you think I developed? Yeah. Then I worked as a subcontractor at different legal jobs for 10 years, going from one law firm to another, working from home. No close relationships. Then I marry a musician who tours a lot. I work as a waitress, bartender, and as a subcontractor for attorneys during this time. Then later, together, we tour around in a motorhome, 160 show dates a year, moving every 3 or 4 days. How many close relationships do you think I was ever able to create? Yeah. I can't think of any, actually. So you see in the pattern here, this is a pattern that I created and played out in my life because I had the belief I didn't deserve close relationships because I had given up my daughter for adoption. So the power in that wound of regret was courage. When I understood that healing When I understood that one healing of a deep, deep wound, my relationship with Nikki completely transformed. I love my daughter to the complete distraction. She and I couldn't be more difficult. She's a raging conservative. I'm a raging liberal. And you know what? That does not even factor into our relationship because I love her unconditionally. I respect her and her decisions unconditionally, and I trust her with my heart and soul. And we have never been closer. The super cool thing about healing one wound is that it heals other wounds that were created from that very first event. In NLP hypnotherapy, we call that timeline therapy. So that's something that's really cool, where we take you back to that first instance, and it could have been in utero. So that's really fun to explore. But as a researcher, I like doing that. I like connecting the dots to what's going on now, to what happened, because if it doesn't make sense, I'm all over it. So I'm just guessing that you all have all experienced levels of pain and hurt, and there's probably some that have gone unresolved. So this is for you, and I hope it inspires you to seek out someone you trust to help you through the process to claim your power in your wounds. There's a great power in every wound. Just a couple of them are The power of the wound, I'm not good enough, is love. The power of love in this wound gives you greater access to your own emotions. It heals your ability to fully love yourself and others. It shows you how to be more open and vulnerable and to be free to express yourself more easily. And the byproducts of that are finding more kindness and compassion inside and enjoying the freedom in your relationships. The power of the wound called abandonment is self-worth, self-confidence, self-esteem. And this means you no longer judge the actions of anyone as abandonment or rejection. And you, especially cookie girls, Girl Scout cookie people. And you understand that these actions have nothing to do with you and everything to do with themselves. You don't need to have a high sense of self-confidence in every area of your life, because there's naturally some things you're really good at. You're going to have confidence in doing that. And there's some things that you don't. And it doesn't matter. The only thing is you have confidence in those things that truly matter to you. But the best thing is having self-esteem throughout your life. That supports the Creator's intentions for you, that you have a deep knowing that you are valuable, that you're lovable, and that you are necessary to this life. So the power of the wound called, "There's nothing special about me," is purpose. Everybody has a purpose. Purpose opens a whole world of options and choices. And so when you see that, you'll be ready to step into your new life of purpose. This is the positive intent your subconscious has for you. And if you learn to find that and follow your purpose, you will begin making higher quality choices, resulting in higher quality outcomes for your life. And finally, and this is just the last wound. There are so many wounds. There's probably a wound for every person in here, a different one. But these are just some of my top ones that I've discovered over the past few weeks. And really interesting transformation out of these. And finally, the wound that offers you the power of freedom, well, that's the sweetest wound of all, isn't it? Whether you were trapped within your own beliefs or trapped in a relationship, the wound that opens you up to freedom truly contains the secret sauce in life. And so while you're licking that secret sauce off your fingers, you will unleash the freedom to truly live your soul's purpose. Remember, what's broken can be mended, what hurts can be healed, and no matter how dark it gets, the sun is going to rise again. I'm Reverend Kimberly Kelly. Thank you very much for being here today. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Wow, thank you. My sisters and brothers. Geez, thank you. Thank you. Congratulations.